I've got probably 6 or 7 Dunnett snare drums now, and they're probably a sort of maybe I think probably a 60-40 split in terms of metal to wood. And the one thing that I liked mostly really about Ron's metal drums, it was his metal drums that basically first got me interested. That drum there, which is Mink, was my first, in fact I think that was the first snare drum I did on this channel, but this was my first Dunnett snare drum. I got it in 2004, and it was at that point it was directly from Ron as well in Canada. It was before he had any sort of shops or representation in the UK, so it's an old drum in those terms. There's certain things though about Ron's drums which if you're not really familiar with his work, they're just fundamentally different to, say, like the Ludwig 400, and there's a couple of real obvious things that are fundamentally different. You've got an undersized shell for a start, which probably can't. Well, you might be able to see there. You can see there's a little bit of a gap in the shell between the shell and the hoop and the head, but you've got the bearing edge first of all. There you go. Swing that around. So most metal snare drums, like the Luddy 400, which has a bearing edge like that, this has a bearing edge like that, or in fact there is no bearing edge. The edge is literally the edge, and so you've got that. You've got the snare bed, which hopefully you can see. I'll do a close-up of all this obviously, but it's a very noticeable, substantial snare bed on this drum, and I think most of the other snare drums that I've got of his, the metal ones. And the other thing is that, and I'm not quite sure the actual thickness of this. I'm going to say it's probably maybe 1 or 2 millimeters. I'm going to say actually it's probably 1 millimeter actually. Is the shells are very thin. They are very, very thin, and I think probably if I drop this, it would dent quite easily. But and the other thing about certainly Ron's earlier drums, this one, that one, I think are the only 2 actually that I've got, but they don't have any air holes. There are no air holes in this drum anywhere. So there you go, no air. Now that does give a certain. It gives a certain sound, and it gives a certain feel when you sort of properly lay into the drum. And he did actually come up with what's called the Hypervent a few years after I got that drum. I think the second metal snare drum I got from him actually did have, that's a 12x6 stainless steel, but that's got the Hypervent in it, and it doesn't really take away from the sound as such. I found that drum has a little bit of a sort of a boxy, sort of almost nasal sound to it. This one maybe not so much, but it does have a different sort of sound to it, that one, and they play slightly differently as well, or at least certainly that one does anyway, and it feels like it's got no air hole in it. If you really sort of lay into it, you can definitely tell that the air isn't going anywhere, or not going anywhere quickly. Anyway, onto this drum. This is, as you'll have seen, it's a 13x5 copper snare drum. It's called Ludwig. It's from 2001. Has the name written there. It also has it engraved in the shell somewhere. If I can remember where, I'll do a close-up of it. But it's got the name engraved in the shell as well. It also has a Made in Canada sticker. As I said, it's from 2001, so it's quite an old drum. It's an old drum. This is the oldest Dunnett drum that I have, for sure. 8 tube lugs, double-ended tube lugs, fairly sort of generic triple flanged hoops. It has got the horrible old nickel drumworks strainer on it, which admittedly I took this out at the weekend actually, and I put the little tag on there, but I basically have to keep an elastic band on this thing from stopping it from flapping open when I play it, which is not ideal. Obviously I could replace it, but I think at sort of 50 quid, 50, 60 quid probably a pop for a new Dunnett strainer. I'm going to probably wait until this one falls apart before I actually look to replace it. But you know, it's one of the other things that he did with the older drums that he subsequently moved away from is the sort of, I think it's a laser engraved badge, or certainly an etched badge there. I kind of like that. That drum's got a metal badge that's been screwed on, so I kind of like that. This one, and the other thing, the obvious thing, is that it's it's a raw sort of copper finish, so it's been rapidly patinaing over the last 16 years, and again, it's patinaing in inside as well, so it's got a real character to it, and it's kind of tuned sort of up, loud, ringy. I am probably going to use this. I decided the other day I'm probably going to use it to record the album I'm doing next month, and because I think on a couple of tunes that probably work quite well. So yeah, but I mean, all in all, I got it from Steve Maxwell's place probably, I'm going to say 9 or 10 years ago. I've had it for a good while, and I don't remember how much I paid for it, but and there you go. Look, even the butt plate, how rudimentary is that? I mean, that's just like literally just the butt plate. There's nothing fancy about that. But all in all, you know, it needs a clean. It needs a clean all over. But you know, I don't tend to clean it very often, because that kind of defeats the point of you know, the patinaing and all the finger marks and all the other dirt and crap that gets on the shell that then adds a little bit more character to it. So, but yes. Yeah. I've got Evans heads on it, top and bottom. For some reason, I put a G2 on there. I don't quite know why. I wouldn't normally do that, but and I've got, I think they're 20 strand, sort of fairly generic wires. I don't remember what brand they are. They might be Canopus, but I'm not sure. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, thank you for watching. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.